listen to the Honorable Minister of Finance for the Republic of Nigeria, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, making some very strong projections as to where Nigeria needs to be. 7% or 7.5% growth over the next 2 to 3 years. Is this achievable? Is this what we're going to see? Are we going to have investors come up? Are we going to have investors latch onto these opportunities in infrastructure, in growth, in agriculture, in processing, in services and infrastructure, and all of that? That's the hope that this summit here in Ogun State is hoping to. I should also say that beyond just Ogun State, from the trajectory story that the minister has given us, it does appear that Ogun State grows, the nation grows.
We have the country leader for the World Bank, Dr. Hashim, and of course the Honorable Minister will be able to weigh in as well. So the order for the panel today is I'm going to ask each of the private sector or NGO leaders and sectors to comment about their experience with Ogun State and some of the successes and some of the challenges that they see. And the sectors that we have represented, it's hard to argue there's any more important sectors. So we've got the housing sector, financial services, we have the training sector, and we have manufacturing. So without further ado, I'd like to ask Dr. Delphine, who's sitting here on my right, who is one of the world's experts in affordable housing, to talk about her experiences in general, but specifically in this state on that. I think people probably know that in Nigeria we have a housing deficit of perhaps 25 million units. So that would mean that in this state we have a housing deficit of 600,000 to 800,000 units. But the wonderful thing about housing is when you build it, it's not just about providing housing, but it's also providing employment, because so many people are involved in housing, obviously all the builders, people involved in real estate, all the way through the people that feed them. So please, Dr. Delphine, why don't you kick us off on this panel today?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. It's great to be home. So, yes, it's true, construction sector is participating to inclusive economy. And as you were saying, it's true, it impacts the built environment, better the quality of life and the quality of communities. So as Jumoke was saying during the little presentation, that housing, affordable housing, participating in building communities, and this is very important that we do so. So what is very interesting, the numbers, is that for one housing unit that we build, we create 5 jobs. So in terms of job creation, it's enormous, the potential of this sector. And instead of looking at the housing deficit as something that hurt, it also, we should see it as a challenge, as something good to happen for the future. We can think also about housing to build, brand new housing, but also to renovate existing housing. For example, when you see Abeokuta, it's a beautiful city. Abeokuta, when you look at the housing in the city center, it's beautiful, it's just that it needs to be renovated. And I think through good urban planning and renovation, we can really improve the community. So what I wanted really to address today was the question about how to attract private investment towards the housing sector. And what is very interesting is when you look at the numbers, it's like most of the time, international investors look at mega projects. They are looking for mega projects that are, like a private-public partnership, and DFIs are involved, and then they are ready to come and really to support and bring the money. So when you look at the projects recently inside the construction sector, it has been on the growth generally in Africa of 46% since last year, to reach more than 350 billion in the construction sector in Africa and 69 billion in Nigeria. But what we can regret is that, for example, the Eco City in Lagos is a $6 billion project, but we don't have a $6 billion project for mixed-use housing, affordable housing. This is really lacking. you know, to really have some projects that is well established, that investors can say, yes, we back it up, and let's go and let's get it done. Yes.
Thank you for that, Dr. Delphine. I think one thing that maybe people don't realize, that globally, 50% of all assets in the world are real estate. Every company needs a place to operate, even internet companies. Every person needs a place to live. So if the real estate sector doesn't work, it's hard to see, if it's 50% of assets, the economy working. So I think Dr. Delphine's point, how do we attract private sector? And sometimes we focus too much on the high end of housing, but what we need more of is affordable housing across Ogun and across the country. So I want to turn now to Tayo. I mean, I think most people here probably know Tayo is one of the most brilliant young entrepreneurs. Maybe he's not so young anymore, but brilliant entrepreneurs in the country. He's founded Pega, has over 5 million clients. But I think the most amazing thing about Tayo is he's one of the top fintech entrepreneurs in Africa, but he actually had the foresight to start it before the word fintech was even invented. So he only found out later he was a fintech. So please give him a warm hand. He's going to talk a little bit about a little bit about Pega, its experience in Ogun, but also how critical financial inclusion is to driving inclusive growth. Because if you're not included in the financial system, it's hard to be part of the economy. So, Tayo.
Thank you very much. Honorable Governor, thank you very much for the invitation. And it's also good to be home. So first of all, I really appreciate the opportunity. Pega and financial services, what we're trying to do is to really bank the 70 million plus unbanked that we have in Nigeria. So we see financial inclusion as a key aspect of one of the problems we want to solve. The second problem we want to solve is, how do you make it easy for people to pay and get paid? And the way we achieve these problems is actually, in a country as big as Nigeria, the way you do it is not through brick and mortar. The way you do it is through a wide agent network. Mom and pop shops, pharmacies, grocery stores, places where you can walk in and get services rendered to you. It's not the guy selling airtime on the side of the road. It's actually someone who has money, who's able to actually do this business. We started this business in 2009. And bootstrapped it for the first 6 months and started raising angel money and then institutional capital. We now have about 14,000 agents across Nigeria, and we have 1,600 of them here in Ogun State. As of the end of last year, actually just this weekend, we crossed 8 million users on our platform. So we are finally bigger than Ogun State in terms of population. And we're very excited about the opportunity that really is there. And if you look at the transactions going on our platform, we do about 1.5 million transactions every month, growing very quickly. Ogun State actually represents 17% of the transactions that we do. So we're very proud of the business that we're doing here in Ogun State, and we think the opportunity is for us to unlock this across communities across the country, right? Because the way we also think about it is that every active agent is at least hiring one shopkeeper. So we have about, I would estimate in Ogun State alone about 900 jobs created, separate from the agents themselves, and close to 10,000 nationally. And we're just at the beginning of this, right? So really for us, the challenges that we face are more government unlocking, regulators moving faster, listening to the market, listening to the operators. So, we've been talking to the central bank about changing the limits on KYC.